Great. Well, it's such a pleasure to be here with you guys. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how to optimize your diet and reduce inflammation, also support our immune function during treatment or to reduce risk of cancer as well. So, my passion is to translate nutritional research into actionable solutions. That's what I'm most passionate about so that I can deliver a good, strong sense of clarity and confidence to my patients because we love clarity. We love knowing what it is that we're doing, why we're doing it. We love that with our finances. We like that with our outfits. We like it with our nutrition, what we choose to put in our body has been shown to make a difference. There's strong evidence to support that notion. And there are different concepts when it comes to nutrition. There's so many key foundational principles, and I could be here for a few hours. So what I decided to do is just select three different main topics. One is about fiber and the importance of fiber diversification. It's something that seems so obvious to people, yet 95% of my patients that I work with on our first session, when I do an analysis, they're maybe at 50% of their goal. So I thought it would be really important to bring that one and to talk about it. And then the other one is something fun, spice synergy, and then different ways to power up your pantry. Fiber diversification, that's number one here. I'll unpack it a little bit. So 5 reasons, 5 things that fiber can do for you. Number one, it helps remove excess hormones from our body, like cholesterol, also potential carcinogens. Number two, it promotes a healthy gut microbiome. Now, this is very, very important for us, especially during immunotherapy. It strengthens our immune system, it helps modulate our blood sugars, and it also supports weight management. One thing I do want to stamp into your mind, actually, before I move on, is that fiber is like, I want you to think of it as like a cleaning crew entering your body, a good cleaning crew that brought good supplies, good brushes, sponges, and they're there to do a really, really good job scrubbing your insides clean. And that's something important because how we think about what we choose to eat is very empowering. So first, I'm going to talk about how fiber can potentially help reduce those carcinogens in our body. So when we get enough fiber, more carcinogens get excreted out of our body. As you can see there, I've got little like heterocyclic amines, that's like a potential carcinogen. And you can see here the scrubbing going on, the soluble fiber acting like a sponge, grabbing that. Also, by the way, it would grab hormones like cholesterol and help remove that out of the body as well. When we don't get enough fiber, this stuff kind of hangs around for a while. And when it hangs around, it basically, some of it gets recycled back into our blood system. So we do want to rid our body as much as we can of some of these harmful compounds. Fiber also helps promote a healthy gut microbiome. Now, I'm sure you've all been hearing a lot about our gut microbiome, and this is very important for all of us, especially those affected by cancer. And research does strongly suggest that a healthy gut microbiome is important, especially during to help with the effectiveness of immunotherapy. Really, really important. If you think about it, you can also visualize your gut as like a garden, and how you treat it is going to affect how things are going to grow and thrive in that garden. So, really, really important. One way we do that is by ingesting prebiotic fibers. Prebiotic fibers are special fibers that come from a variety of foods like asparagus, mushrooms, jicama, soybeans, grains, different seeds, lots of foods with these prebiotic fibers. But what we love about these fibers, specifically the prebiotic fibers, is that they have direct access into our large intestines where this gut microbiome is. And so what it does is that it acts like fertilizer for the garden. So it's really feeding that garden so that the good bacteria can thrive. And if the good bacteria is thriving, it's protecting us. And how does it protect us? It creates what's called short chain fatty acids. And those short chain fatty acids, known as postbiotics, what do? They support our immune function. They support our weight management goals. They also help reduce inflammation in the body and reduce cancer risk, promoting thrivership. What I love about this, we're talking about simple foods. These are very simple foods, very accessible for us. Fiber can also help strengthen our immune system. So when I was back, back in the days, Rick, at St. John's, we didn't think about this. I did not think about any of this, about how fiber can impact our immunity. What's great, it does it in two different ways. Number one, as we just talked about, it acts like it has the prebiotic fibers that support our gut bacteria. And then the other thing that's fascinating is that they enhance our immune system because they interact with our immune cells in our GI tract right there, and they enhance our immune function. Really interesting, again, simply put, these are fibers. So foods that are particularly high in these beta glucans that I'll be talking about are things like mushrooms and oats. So simple foods. So you might wonder, Rachel, like how much fiber are we looking at? What's the goal? So generally, I like to recommend about 30 to 35 grams. It depends. Men, usually I'll go up to about 40 or so. But one thing to keep in mind is that you want to introduce fiber gradually because we all have a different tolerance. So we need to pace ourselves a little differently. But for a good average generally would be 30 to 35 grams. But one thing I do want to mention that's important is the concept of fiber diversification. Why do we want to diversify our fiber? Because we have different gut bacteria and they have different needs. And we want to make sure that we are diversifying so that we are constantly tending to that garden in our gut where 70% of our immune cells reside. So it's very, very important. So different kinds of types of fiber. We have insoluble fiber, soluble fibers. Within the soluble fibers, we have subcategories, prebiotic fibers that we just talked about, beta glucans, and it's very important for us to diversify. And as I was mentioning in the beginning, despite, if I were to ask you guys, or if I was standing in front of a room of 1,000 people, and I said, who knows that fiber is important, that we need to get a good amount of fiber for our immune system and for our long-term wellness, I'd say 99% of individuals would raise their hand. But how many of those individuals would be close to the target goal that we're aiming for? 3%. We're so obsessed about protein and other things and supplements, we forget about something so basic, which is why I wanted to bring it forth today. But that's really, really important. So I find individuals who have oatmeal in the morning, even the best of the best steel cut oatmeal, and a nice salad and some vegetables at dinner, maybe a cup of cantaloupe for a snack. Those individuals on average are going to get about 19 grams, still falling short. So my message to you is that we need a strategy. And the strategy should be simple, but we need one nonetheless. So this is the fun part for me because I get to share some recommendations. Like, what are you guys going to do today, tomorrow? So big picture, 30 to 35 grams a day. We want to diversify. One tip that I give my patients is try to start your day with about 10 grams. Gradually, of course, everyone's different. And here's a simple way to make that happen. So right there, you see a cup of oatmeal, right? And the oatmeal, even if it's the best of the best, it's the sprouted steel cut oatmeal, that's going to have about 4 grams of fiber. If you're going to add a little bit of banana, maybe you'll get to 5.5. So one easy way to do this is by utilizing fiber boosters. It's such a great hack to include a fiber booster. And it does so much for you because it supports blood sugar modulation, which is important when it comes to, um, our treatment plan and for us just in general. But the ones that I'm giving you here that are my basic 4 are basil seeds, ground chia seeds, ground sprouted flaxseed, and whole hemp seeds, which are different from the hemp hearts. Another simple thing that you could do that I love recommending is to have fiber and spice gut support rotation. So what that means basically is you take a jar and pick one. Don't start with both. We like to keep things very, very simple. Pick one and you'll put equal parts like you see on the bottom, 1/4 of a cup of ground flax, ground chia, oat fiber, which is an insoluble fiber. It's the stuff that that they throw out when they process oats. Really, really good. And then spices, which I'll talk about. So you throw your spice in there, which is also very important for your gut microbiome. And you just use that. You use 1 scoop in the morning. And you're getting about 5.5 grams of fiber, plus you're getting good fats and all these different nutrients, and it's very supportive and it's an all-in-one. And then when you're ready, you can have another one because, again, diversification is so important. Another key thing when it comes to fiber, don't eat the same breakfast every day. So many of my patients will say, Rachel, I don't mind eating the same thing every day. I'm like, please don't. Maybe for the first month, we can hang out like that and do that because we were trying to get you on autopilot. So we want to keep things simple, but it's really important to also diversify the base of your breakfast. Very important. Another hack to help inch your way up to getting your 35 grams of fiber is by being more inclusive of plant-based proteins. Because plant-based proteins are considered premium, especially when it comes to cancer risk reduction and thrivership. Why? They're packed with cancer-fighting phytochemicals that protect us on the cellular level. They're rich in fiber. We just talked about how important fiber is. They boost our gut health, they support our weight management, they don't contain hormones, and they do contain anti-inflammatory properties. So this is really, really good stuff. So I would suggest at least at lunch or at dinner, try to be more inclusive of plant-based proteins, because with 1 serving, you'll get about 10, maybe 15 grams of fiber, which will be very, very helpful. And keep it simple. There's so many shortcuts. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'll highlight just one of them for the sake of time here. You'll see sprouted lentils there. Sprouted lentils are fast food at its best. It takes 5 minutes to cook. 5 minutes boiled in broth or just a little bit of salted water. And the fact that it's sprouted, and this is important also for those who are undergoing treatment, sometimes we have GI effects and we need a little bit more support. The fact that they're sprouted not only enhances the bioavailability and nutrient absorption, but it also lessens those side effects that we sometimes experience when we ingest plant-based foods like beans and legumes. So it's a win-win, and it's such a budget-friendly way to get a protein. And then there's some other portable ways to, things that you can take on the go. They'll be very nourishing, but it's very supportive. I highly encourage you consider that. Quickly, I'm shifting gears to spice synergy. I am very passionate about this. One thing I do want to mention is the concept of leveraging spice synergy. Spice synergy basically is that it was interesting. I found that when you combine certain spices together, they have more of an impact. They're better together. And I thought that was fascinating. And it's also interesting that with just a little bit, you can dramatically elevate the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties of your food. Now, what inspired me personally was an article I saw in the American Institute for Cancer Research titled "The Spices of Cancer Protection." And when you're working in oncology, you see everything, all kinds of things that most of them are actually disappointing. And I thought to myself, spices, this is so simple. This is already in people's pantries. What an interesting concept. And when I looked further, I saw that there were thousands of studies about spices and their cancer protective roles. So I decided to go for it, actually, and I wrote a book about spices and really enjoy it. So There's a lot of potential when it comes to anti-cancer mechanism without diving into details, but really powerful stuff. And there's lots of research. I won't get into the weeds of it, but this is an example where they were looking at lowering inflammation. And they gave subjects a half a teaspoon of a combination of spices. And after 7 days, there was a measurable change in antioxidant, anti-inflammatory activity. So this is very encouraging. Imagine if you did this for months or years, right? This is just after a week. This is a study out of UCLA. They also, they used a petri dish, but they basically found that spices had a dual effect in that they promoted the good bacteria in our gut, but they also inhibited the bad bacteria in our gut. Again, simple stuff. We already have this in our pantries. This is one of my favorite things that I found. This was basically a study that analyzed 3,100 different foods using something called a FRAP assay. It's just pretty straightforward. What's the antioxidant value of a variety of different foods? And what's fascinating is that spices, look at that, way higher than most foods. Fascinating stuff. So my team and I, what we were able to do was to analyze the antioxidant value I have my own blends. This is not for you to buy my own blends, but I have the data to my own blends, so I was able to do this. So what we did is we looked at our blends and looked at some of the foods that were in that study. And for example, we took some oats and some plant milk, and the antioxidant value collectively was about 136. Then you add about a teaspoon of this blend that basically has pure raw cacao, turmeric, and Ceylon cinnamon, and the antioxidant value climbed to 1,292 on average. You already have this in your pantries. So simple. Same thing with other foods and different blends that have spice synergy. So sprouted organic tofu, you'll add, this is our everything savory blend, basically has paprika, cumin, turmeric, black pepper, and a smidge of cayenne. 52% increase in antioxidant value, 61% increase if you have garbanzo beans and you add, this is our Vegitude powder that has garlic, onion, turmeric, black pepper, and parsley. Simple. And you can elevate everyday foods with spicing so easily. If you buy a jar of marinara sauce, go ahead and take your Italian blend, stir some in there. The dry herbs are very concentrated in antioxidants. If you buy a tub of hummus, for example, go ahead, sprinkle that paprika. This is our super sumac. Sumac is a great spice, tangy. People love the flavor. You're elevating, you're upgrading it, you're giving it that boost, and you're doing it with a natural, wholesome food, not an isolated compound or a supplement. And that's the beauty of it. You can elevate your coffee, popcorn, lentils. There are so many simple ways for you to do this. I'm going to talk a little bit about foods to power up your pantry. I just have a little bit because I know we don't have that much time, but these are other simple solutions for you. Mushrooms. I love recommending for my patients to include mushrooms, yes, in their dry pantry. How do you do that? Dry dehydrated mushrooms. You can find them at most markets, even Costco has them. And what's great about them is that mushrooms are so great for you to begin with. They're rich in phytochemicals, anti-inflammatory properties, anti-tumor properties, really good stuff. And we talked about those special fibers in the beginning, known as beta-glucans. They're very rich in beta-glucans. Same as oats, very rich in beta-glucans that are very supportive. So you always have this around, and you might wonder, well, Rachel, what do I do with this stuff? So I love teaching to basically use it and prep it like you would spaghetti. Boil a pot of water, put the dried mushrooms in there. Now, pasta you might cook for 8 minutes. This will go for 30. Then you strain it, let it cool, squeeze the water out, and then you just saute it like you would any vegetable. I usually chop some onion, add some spice, add the mushrooms, and you're good to go. That's it. Simple. But you always have it around, and it's budget friendly. And sometimes we don't have access to some of the fancier mushrooms. So that's a great way to go, a good little tip for you guys. And some of my patients like using a mushroom powder as well. I know it's very, very trendy right now, but I like to set priorities. First is fresh, second is dehydrated, and then we might talk about the accessory, which is going to be a mushroom powder. Something simple like tahini paste. Sesame seeds are great. They're packed in minerals and vitamins, and they're rich in lignans. Lignans enhance our immune system and are very supportive. And again, this is probably one of the healthiest dressings you can have. And what do you do with it? How do you make it? You basically buy the raw tahini. Trader Joe's has organic, it's everywhere. And you put in a little blender cup with half a cup of water, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of spice that you have in your pantry. Blend it, you've got it for the week. Incredible. You can dip your veggies in that. You could top your salad. You can add it to your roasted cauliflower. It's delicious and something simple. So keep that in your pantry as well. I'm bringing power beverages here because we tend to not think about what we drink as something that's so important and powerful. So I'm just going to share one power tonic out of many that we have. And this is a de-bloat meat kind of tonic. It's a stomach ease tonic that my patients enjoy. So what makes it special? We're using black cumin seeds, which are phenomenal when it comes to digestion. And you see them right there. They're just little black seeds. And they're very rich in antioxidants. And also we included a little bit of fennel seeds. You can add a little bit of spice like Ceylon cinnamon, ginger, and you just make a batch of it and then you strain it, keep it in jars in the fridge. Excellent, excellent. So there are a lot of different power tonics that you could be drinking that are very soothing and comforting. Barley grass latte is another one that's very popular. So I just wanted to just touch up on that a little bit. So to close things, this is a concept that's very important. What we talked about today, if we were building a house together, we basically laid down about 5 bricks, not even a wall. Nutrition takes time. Nutrition is something that we want to, the goal is to be on autopilot with foundational concepts. The simple thing, like the fiber and diversifying the fiber, give that time. I'll work with a patient sometimes for at least a week just on that one topic, starting with their morning. Then we move on and on. So really building that house, that foundation is key. Once we build the house, water is running, there's a roof, there's lights, it's functioning. At that point, we hire the designer, the decorator to come in with accessories, all kinds of power-ups and power foods and different kinds of things to further elevate the house. And I bring that up because working in oncology for so many years, what I've realized is most people are showing up with a bunch of chandeliers. And it's like, I'm like telling them, hey, you showed up with a chandelier. We're standing in front of an empty plot of land. I don't know anything about your house. I don't know what style it's going to be. I don't know if this chandelier is going to work in the house. So I really want to drive that home because we tend to want that shortcut. And we are neighbors and we scroll on social media and it's exhausting. But really having that foundation, feeling confident with that foundation is going to make a big difference because having clarity and confidence is very empowering. And then we bring in the decorations and things like that. So that's important. I wanted to convey that. If anybody wants anything further or want to connect with me, bellanutrition.com is my website, and we have all kinds of programming. Aside from private practice, we have an online masterclass and we have different tiers, and we've really worked hard to make it accessible for people because it's hard with nutrition. So we can share all of this and more with you guys through programs, and really the whole point of it is to give you that clarity and confidence. I can tell you that one of the highlights of what we do in our online programs is office hours. Every week, we hold office hours. It's myself, or sometimes I have another dietitian who's holding office hours, but that has been a game changer. People need a place to go. It's not about the information. I've written 4 best-selling books. It's not about the book. It's about the connection and the accountability and having a good support system to help you further refine your wellness journey. So I welcome you to check that out, and then or one of my books. And then the spices are just a passion project of mine. It just somehow turned into a whole thing, but it's just a fun, convenient way to do that. But you don't need to get those. In my books, even, I will tell you what to use instead. So, but use them. Use spices. Use all the information, and I hope you found this helpful. Thank you.
Other questions? Go ahead.
Put up there what foods we shouldn't eat.
Oh, so the question was, I haven't put out there what we shouldn't eat. So I don't like to focus on the things you shouldn't eat. I think that it's really important to focus on being more inclusive of foods that are actually going to promote wellness. I can tell you, if you ask me, I heard red meat. When it comes to red meat, for example, I would say let's not get that into a 100% no category. Of course, I always have to meet my patient where they're at. But if I, let's say, encouraged you, if I educated you and encouraged you to be more inclusive of plant-based proteins, now you're bringing it in 3-4 times a week because you're understanding how good it is and you're feeling good about it. You're organically crowding out some of these other foods, and you're not even noticing it that much. And I really have seen that that's the way to do it. So it's not so overwhelming for you, and you don't feel so bad when you're eating that occasionally, but it really becomes what you do most of the time. What you do most of the time makes a difference when it comes to your long-term health, not sometimes. So I would put that into the sometimes category.
Chocolate?
Well, chocolate actually has been shown to be beneficial, right? You've got a lot of polyphenols. It's really good for you. And one of my blends actually uses pure raw cacao. So chocolate, of course, the darker chocolate is better, but chocolate is chocolate's a keeper. You can't let go of the chocolate. Alcohol and processed meats are considered Class A carcinogens, and those have been classified officially. So, but again, we don't need to take all the fun out, but it's definitely something we want to put in that occasional. Yeah. Got to keep it real. Got to keep it real. Got to keep it real.
Question in the back?
Yeah.
Another question from an online participant. They had a dermatologist recommend sun powder drink. Are you familiar with this?
Sun powder.
Sun powder drink.
Do they know what's in it?
I actually just Googled it while I was waiting, and I don't know, but it's supposed to help protect the skin from UV rays.
I'd have to take a deeper dive into it and see what's in it, because sometimes there's one aspect of it, why it's being recommended, but then it comes with a host of other ingredients that we start to figure out, is it worth it? Is there another way? So I'd have to know more.
Question?
Do cooking processes affect the potency of spices?
So you can cook in your soups. You could use spices in your soups and in your stews. And of course, generally speaking, when we're cooking, even vegetables, high heat, long time, you could lose some of the nutrient value. But I'd say it's minimal, if that. Yeah. And fresh spice, fresh roots are amazing, but also dried spices, they're different. Certain spices like dried herbs, like your Italian herbs actually have a lot more antioxidant value once they're dried versus the fresh, but both are great. So, yeah. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.